do 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 do. Hi guys, Ellen Mary meets everybody. It's MicheleMarieDalene, and yes, it is that morning show. It's still 5 minutes early today, so bear with me. The only reason I'm 5 minutes early is because, well, I'm set up a little sooner than normal, but not by much. Today, we don't have a lot to cover, unless you are wanting to get into the nitty-gritty about audio signal processing, which I think most of you would rather not on your first cup of morning brew. So I won't get into too much detail on the sound, but if you want to get into a little more complicated detail, we could talk about it, but let's just keep it like morning level. Basically, last night that Skynet was complaining that my audio was suffering from latency issues. Upon testing, it turns out that the problem may not be on my side, it might be on his. However, it's hard to say because Discord did send out some updates, and we know that they use Windows, tends to send up a ton of updates. And after I finagled and twisted knobs and flip switches, I couldn't even duplicate the problem that they're having with Discord. How you doing, MJ? So, I asked Carrie to ask Rickington, who is fairly tech savvy, because we want to play World of Warcraft around Thanksgiving week, to me and him to play Classic. If he could help me debug the Discord sound problem and see if he can duplicate it on his side, and that's what we'll do. So for right now, if you are listening on the Discord and you hear someone sounding potentially like they're in a cave, because I was listening, he said it was Skynet was saying this, he was hearing it on his end, which means that it only was getting it when he was talking, not when I was talking. He said I was getting it when I was talking. So maybe he's got the same problem where the echo cancellation is not turned on, or something similar to that. So, good morning, MJ, Mary Beth. How are you doing? I've been so busy with these COVID people in my house. It's crazy. I haven't picked up my phone in a week to play with my friends. Good morning. Yeah, how you doing? Now I've got a problem where I installed a lot of different software programs, and now we have to figure out how to get rid of all the unneeded draw segments to be loaded in here. And so I was gonna buy another copy of Clean My Mac. I'm gonna find out that if I want to people, I have to spend $4 in cash, which basically is equivalent of about 4 years worth of subscriptions. I was like, no. Oh, and they said, you can upgrade your purchase by for the clean your Mac you already have, but it's gonna cost you. Was it? No way. I'm not in the mood to spend $84 for a registration program. That's ridiculous. I just can't see at this point. We didn't get the stimulus check yet. There hasn't been a stimulus program authorized by Congress. That doesn't mean that there is not possibly one from Connecticut. Other states are doing their own. So you may want to just check with your local state community access agency if there is a COVID-19 stimulus program for you. So I wonder if there's one in Connecticut. Let me just quickly look and see what Google tells me, because I did say I was going to check. All right, let's go to work. Let's go to work and look real quick here on the internet. Okay, so Connecticut. That's where I live, right? COVID 19 stimulus program. Let's see if there's anything for Connecticut. My internet is still pokey as hell. That would cause latency too. I mean, I need to reboot my modem. Getting your federal, that's a state Senate approved coronavirus insurance bill. Is this for Connecticut or is this for the U.S. Congress? That was in March. COVID-19 stimulus and relief package for property owners. Governor Lamont launches emergency no-interest loan program. Okay, so this is more for businesses, but Portal Connecticut Governor, Office of the Governor, Ned Lamont, to announce to Connecticut small businesses and nonprofits that have been negatively impacted by the global spread of the COVID-19 pandemic can apply for a 1-year no-interest loan up to $75,000 under the launch of a new program administered by the state's Department of Economic and Community Development, the DECD. This is dated on doesn't say. Then we have the Connecticut Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, the PUA. What about individuals? Okay. For renters, or yeah. Residents. Oh yeah, I wonder if there's anything. It's Jimmy's been doing the same thing also for the people on the show, because right now he knows that there's no stimulus news from the federal government at this point. Okay, Connecticut stimulus package, Congress. Okay, that's Congress. Participants again. The program provides free help for Connecticut's low-income and Alice families to file tax returns, allowing them to receive tax credits and coronavirus economic impact checks, and to file for pandemic unemployment assistance, PUA benefits. All residents making up to $56,000 in income are eligible for the service. So there is something for people that are working. All right. But what about disabled residents? I'm just doing some quick research, guys, because I'm curious. Disabled residents. All right, let's see. Getting your federal stimulus check, coronavirus stimulus package. Coronavirus stimulus package on April 2nd, 2020. Congress, that's the provide assistance to COVID-19. Okay, that's in the federal program. Connecticut U.S. Regulatory Authority extends. Connecticut Public. This is from Indigo. Connecticut's Public Utility Regulation Authority is extending its COVID-19 payment program. The extension will be through February 9th, 2021. And this one is current. So let's see what this one says. This is for utility assistance. Connecticut Public Utilities Regulatory Authority extends COVID-19 payment program to February. Connecticut's Public Utilities Regulatory Authority is extending its COVID-19 program. The extension will be through February 9th, 2021 for people and businesses struggling to pay utility bills during this pandemic. PURA is also operating its winter protection, which protects houses against heat shutoffs during the winter months. Okay, so if you are having problem with your bills, you can get, not only can you get the winter protection program, you can also get the other program for your business to help with your utility costs as well. Great, that's wonderful. And I know there is renters protection programs as well. So yes, there is something. All right. So just keep that in mind. If you're a Connecticut resident, you can get some assistance. Let's see. So let me get caught up with Mary Beth. Be there. Hope you will. Mary Beth says, my eldest son, who's 42 years old, said that small print and stimulus check deal has to be paid back. What do you know about this? If you're talking about the program that has to do with the payroll taxes, yeah, that at this point is a loan. It is so you get your payroll tax cut that was originally sent out. That is a loan, but it may be a forgivable loan, which means that within the year 2021, you would be paying that back in payroll taxes. Okay. If your company has decided to be part of that program, you will get a tax break, but it's like an IOU. It's not forgiven yet. It could be forgiven under Biden, and Trump was going to do the same if he was appointed president again. But at this point, that didn't happen. So it still remains as a IOU, which means you're going to owe them payroll taxes in 2021 for what you received in a payroll tax cut for the time of I think until December. So it's for individuals. It's not going to be a ton of money. It's still going to be a shot to the chest. If you, like you said, you read the small print, and when you sign up for the payroll tax cut, you'd understand that. GM rocks. I am the female MJ. Okay, that doesn't surprise me, Mary Beth. So, people don't usually read the small print. So yeah, there may have been a few people that were kind of caught off guard, but looking at the way the legislation was written, the government doesn't want to lose out on payroll taxes, right? Because your employer is still paying its share for you to work for them to the federal government. It just gives you a break. And they say, well, guess what? It's still like a $1,200 stimulus in a way. It's just not all at once. It's like a little each week. Well, the federal government still can't get its act together on the longer stimulus program, which means that if you can get, as I said, any supplemental assistance or any kind of COVID-19 relief on the state level or county or city, I would go for it. If you're not sure about all these different agencies, I would just call 211, which is a United States agreed standard for information support line, and ask if you can find out about the availability of this program, or you can talk to your local town or city clerk and find out if they know anything on the city and state level. Maybe county clerk if you have a county that's a little more productive than Litchfield, which basically doesn't even have a county seat. We do have a county seat, but the thing is we got rid of the county system back in the 1800 or in the late 19th century, which leaves Connecticut basically with really like no teeth in the counties because, well, I figure Connecticut is small enough. It only has like 9 counties. Why do you need to have a county seat? They don't need to. So they totally screwed up everybody. When FEMA was trying to work with Connecticut after Hurricane Sandy and Irene, because there was no FEMA said, well, we'll be working with your county. And then they find out, wait, Connecticut's counties don't do anything. They just exist as placeholders. Kind of like the trainers in modern World of Warcraft. They're like, they just exist as figureheads. You can still go to them. You can still wave at them. They'll still say trainer, but guess what? You can't get training. Oh, gee, that's so great. But that's not a story. I should have bought the van from the dude in picture and moved to the river. There are so many that could never afford to pay that back. Even a little bit each week will be drawn down, folks. Yeah, well, in a way, it just means that you're paying it back in one of two ways. Either A, you're going to take double the payroll taxes out of your paycheck to make up for the loan, which is probably what they're going to end up doing in many companies. Companies are going to end up basically charging double the taxes, which still would suck each week. Or they're going to, when you file your income tax return, you're going to end up paying it in one big chunk. And I have to be honest, that is not fun at all. All right. And that's the reason why so many companies decided that they're not going to work with that program, because of that reason. It's not worth it to subjugate their employees to a so-called loan from the federal government by giving them a break on payroll taxes. So, but if you know, you can choose. You can opt in or opt out. It's up to you. If your company gives you the option, either the company is going to choose not to be part of that program, which means you're never going to have to pay them back because your company paid your payroll taxes, or you are going to, or some companies may be doing the opposite and saying we are opting in, and you're not going to have the choice to opt out. That's other companies are saying it's up to the individual. You can either take the grant or take the loan now, which might be fine for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Next week is Thanksgiving, by the way. If that's what you choose to do, that's what you choose to do. Everybody's going to choose a different program which works for them. But it's just like a credit card, right? Here, we're going to give you another, $20, $30 in taxes back each month. Oh, okay. But we're going to want it back by next year. And so do you want to borrow the money now, $30 a week, or do you want to wait? I think some people, unless they really were hard up and who had full knowledge of what they were going to do, probably would have said, yeah, I'll take that loan, because Christmas is coming and Thanksgiving is coming and I got to deal with the family and the holidays, but not everybody's going to go for it. I wouldn't have. But again, that's the way it works in that program. Speaking of Thanksgiving, that's next week. Some states, many states, have said they're not having any holiday parades because of this COVID-19. Connecticut and every other state is especially the hardcore Democratic states are really pushing this more. And each state's different, so you need to check your state to see what your COVID-19 response is. Some states are restricting seating in certain venues. Some have totally shut them down completely. For example, gymnasiums are closed in some states. They're not closed in all states. Some are allowing some limited indoor dining. Connecticut's one of them. But how do you enforce that? I mean, what do? Have a fire marshal counting the number of people sitting at a table? No, this restaurant has a total capacity of 50 patrons. You can only have about 20%. So you figure that's 20% of 50 people. I mean, I'm trying to do math. Why do we always ask for hard math? It's a fifth of it. That means you can only have 4 people sitting at a table. 4 people in the whole restaurant. What? So if your state is saying your seating is limited to 20%, that means you can only have 4 people. If your restaurant can normally seat 100 people, that means you can only have 4 people. The wait staff is going to hate you because they depend on tips in most restaurants, and so unless you're a big tipper, you're not going to be well liked. Okay, if you're a typical person like I am, you tip like maybe $3 tops, maybe, and then what are you gonna? What's the hostess gonna do? She's gonna sit there individually count every single person at the table. This one has one. This one has one. That one has, and she's got like 3 people queued up to be seated. What you gonna do? I'm sorry, I can't seat you now. You have to come back later. That's a good way to cut your sales, big time. That's where the COVID-19 lockdowns are seriously screwing the pooch for restaurant sales. They can't make it if they're being told that they have to basically close the door for any more than whatever the state's maximum is. It seriously is going to kill sales in the restaurants and other movie theaters. The Connecticut movie theaters can have no more than 100 people in a large movie theater. I'm like, well, I've been in plenty of theaters where, even in a regular holiday, a regular time, they're like maybe about 50 in a theater, and like those tiny little cinemaplex theaters. Each one may have enough seats to seat maybe about 75 to 100 people, and I'll see like maybe 10, 15 people there. Just gives you an idea, and that's during a normal situation. They have told that they can only have a 10% of the capacity in that theater at one time. That means 10 people, folks. It's not really good for anybody to sit there and figure that out. I live in the hood, Michelle. Just shoot the COVID. Yeah. Bars open, churches are closed. Not in Connecticut. The churches are open, but they can have no more than, like I said, 5% or 100 people, whichever is the lesser. So 5% of capacity or a maximum of 100 parishioners in the church. Wow. Bars are limited capacity. I don't think this is working. I don't think lockdowns are working. I don't think lockdowns are helping the economy. And I definitely don't think it's going to stop COVID-19. When you got outside protesters, like what happened in Washington, D.C., between the Proud Boys, Antifa, and BLM, when those people were running around without masks, without social distancing, and they had been going at it for days and days and days. And those people are not preparing themselves for COVID-19. I just don't understand the logic behind that. Yeah, how you doing, Rachel? Yeah, thank you. I have been. Oh, okay. We got masks will never come off our faces, and vaccines will be forced. Well, honestly, that's another red herring. The vaccinations. Early adopters are going to be watched like a hawk because obviously we're going to see if they turn into zombies in undead. We want to make sure that whatever this stuff is in this stuff is not going to seriously brain damage us to the point where it's worse than the disease. Anytime Big Pharma comes in, if we watch those videos or the commercials, like especially for antidepressants, it's like, take this product, and you see pictures of balloons and puppies, and then you read all the side effects of the drug. May cause nausea, sleeping, vomiting, and basically the ability to not have children. May also cause you to die prematurely. Oh, wait a minute, what's so good about that? 95% of the patients reported headaches, including severe migraines. What? Yeah. No! If you haven't realized, our whole country is corrupt. I know, I do. I recognize that. Wonder what they would smell if they stuffed my head. Probably sweat, or maybe just saying like R11 said, she doesn't smell like anything. Just people. Yeah. That's the reason I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't know if you realize that, but there's so many inconsistencies in the election system. You do realize that. I think you do. You guys are a smart group. You guys know what I'm talking about. They're still counting votes. They're still finding flaws in the system, in the mail-in ballots. They're still seeing all these difficulties with, why don't we just throw the whole thing out and start over? Come on. There's only so much you can do with a broken voting system that basically you're counting broken votes. Just start over. Throw them in the incinerator or compost or whatever and just get a whole new election out. Start over from scratch. Say, no more changing of your ballot votes. That's the problem with some of the states was they allow people to change their vote. It never should have been an option. It should be one vote per person and no changes. You voted for Biden. Sorry, that's your choice. You voted for Trump. That's your choice. No changes. Instead, some states saying, well, you can change your vote under Condition X, and then you have to make sure to report that your other ballot you voted and that the ballot is no good. How are you going to know? How are you going to know, honestly, what the other person's ballot is? I'm talking about if you use mail-in ballots to begin with, right? When you go to the polls, all right, let's say you do early voting, and then you want to go back and change your vote, like on November 3rd or 2nd, right? Oh, gee, I need to change my vote because I voted for the other candidate, and now I have to change it. How are you going to know which person's ballot and who they voted for? I don't understand some of these states. They're screwy. Yeah. Everything is messed up, and it's actually scary to think of what they've gotten away with. MJ, Rachel says, hello, Mary Beth. I don't know. I could be a teacher. I have no patience, even when I was actively nursing. The load to people really raised my anxiety. I couldn't imagine 20 little kids with 20 different personalities. You try running a YouTube channel. They'll give you the closest sense of being a teacher. And especially when some of the people keep asking you the same questions. Why is my software program getting an echo and the other one's saying he can't get an echo on the same program with different version? It's your problem. That's your problem. Different version, right? Oh, and what did you set your settings for? Settings? What settings? And you go, go to the settings. Then you have to sit there and memorize the map of where all the settings are. You gotta go to the little gear in Discord on the lower left hand. Oh, I'm using my Android phone. It's kind of in the same place. You gotta go to the 3 slashes on the top, scroll down to the gear setting, and change this or that. Make sure your input stage is set right. Or then someone says, well, I'm using Windows. I need to know the Windows steps. Then you have to go and tell them the Windows step. And then they say, it's not working. I don't see that button. What am I supposed to push? And you're like, you memorize. You see, I have to memorize in my head every single program layout so I deal with so I can actually try to help people. But some people get so confused. Of course, it is confusing. And then you like, and especially if the company itself changes the settings layout on different versions, and then you're going, well, on version 1, it was here. Version 2, it's way over there somewhere else. Version 3, it's non-existent. Oh, so why am I telling you how to do version 1 when you're using version 3 when version 3 doesn't have the option? That's when I get into frustration. Teachers got to do the same thing with kids too. You would love being my great 39 of them now. Do you feel like a kindergarten teacher? Sometimes. Yeah, I know. I've seen that on the printed ballots. But yeah, I mean, it depends on the state, though. And do I feel like a kindergarten teacher? Sometimes I do. Yeah, and how do my mother voted for Biden? She passed away in October 2019. They disregarded it, but how many other people that passed? You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. It happens a lot. Registered Republican for my whole life. If anyone needs to see my proof, I have the email. Remember, it says started Christmas 2 weeks ago, but some brought COVID in the house is sick. It's almost killed me at the end of the summer, beginning of fall. Well, Rachel, Democrats can't even let the dead rest. Rachel said, Mary Beth, I have a 5-year-old grandson who is as stubborn as my father, Italian and strong here. Rachel says, MJ, exactly. And then, of course, Mary Beth, my mother passed a year and a half, then voted for Biden. I know she would never. Trump was her last vote. Did you know that they caught a guy in Florida who actually had generated 8,000 fictitious registered voters? 8,000 fictitious registered voters in the state of Florida. We're not even talking real people. We're talking about fake people. And you bet he was going to have them all vote Democrat. They're so desperate for Biden to win. I don't even know why they would even want Biden to win. He's an old man. He is not a good candidate. And we got to basically get the Democrats to stop pushing far left proposals that are going to kill this country. If they don't get themselves back to land of normal, there won't be a normal. Because right now, the far left, the progressives are going, when Biden announced who some of his cabinet members are going to be, is, we're sorry, we can't be endorsed by that. Because unfortunately, those people are too far towards the middle, and we want people on the far left so we can push a Green New Deal. These are corporate capitalists. Oh, yeah, like you guys expecting him to vote get staff members in his cabinet that are all basically Marx and socialists? What is it with you people? Cabinet is appointed based. Normally you choose your cabinet based on their qualifications and their skill set, not based on, do you support Green New Deal? Yes, no, well, hey, if you support Green New Deal, welcome aboard. No, it doesn't work that way. That's just an example of what I'm talking about. You get into stupidity. Here's my channel. Welcome to my chats anytime. Even though Michelle never comes. I come once in a while, Rachel. I do see them. I do look at them. And I do come into your chats once in a while. Then Venetia is my favorite place. Romeo and Juliet balcony is so kick butt. Really? They actually have the real balcony? Or where the Romeo and the Juliet really did do the famous thing that William Shakespeare wrote about in his play? I mean, I guess it doesn't surprise me, right? Now I know where the cello comes in. I'm almost to 700 subs. Well, what did James Robin Anita say? I want to see what the message said. I want to see what it was said. See if it really was inflammatory. Do we need to... Rachel, oh, okay. I see why, yeah. All right. So, of course, it's worse in Europe right now. And they're messed up even more so than us. I just don't think isolation and shutdowns are working. I really don't think it's working. I think it's a mistake. It certainly is going to do a really bad number on those with mental illness and anxiety issues because, I mean, I get a little bit of anxiety once in a while, and the fact is I'm pretty well-rounded, but for some people, this could basically drive them into the house because they get so fearful. Those who have social phobias, this is going to be even more scary for them. They're going to be dealing with, oh my God, I go outside and I'm going to die from breathing the air and breathing your bad breath. Ew! I might as well get Weeble insurance right now, or make sure to get a life insurance so I don't have, like, my family's provided for. Thanks a lot for coughing on me. They should cover your freaking face. I don't know. Yes, Rusty, how you doing, kitty? Yeah. Also say hi to the cat. Right? Yeah. Yep, big cat. Big bad cat. Big bad cat that's gonna take my tabletop. Yeah, I seriously, I don't know. And like several psychiatrists have said, they don't think the lockdowns is a good idea for some patients that are borderline, because it's going to really seriously drive them over the edge with anxiety issues and fear. Rachel, ditto. Rachel, Mary Beth with pointy finger. Ditto FW. Who's FW? I'm using Michelle for money. If so, how? Says Rachel. It's a good question. I don't know. So, around October, a whole series of medical professionals, including psychiatrists, said to the Trump administration that they feel that the lockdowns were a danger to their patients' health and well-being. which this open letter that was sent by 100 physicians. And my doctor didn't sign it, but he knows about the letter, and he said that he does not think that a long-term lockdown makes any sense at all, because some patients are going to be driven to the edge of anxiety and insanity. He said for people with continuing medical problems, this is a suicide mission, because they're not going to be able to see the doctors to easily have the health monitored. I mean, after all, I do my blood work every 3 months to make sure that my liver is still working correctly. And my thyroid. But for some patients that have more serious acute conditions that need to be more monitored more regularly, which includes people with mental illness with certain psychotropic medications, this is going to be really bad for them, especially if they're already coping with issues of anxiety and depression. This is really going to push them off the edge. And yet, they don't seem to understand that, number one, it doesn't guarantee that social distancing is effective. And while you're doing all this social distancing, other businesses that they depend on your sales or your money, for example, local businesses, they're not getting paid because you're not buying their stuff in their stores. Maybe the local pet shop down the street to the local mom and pop pharmacy that normally you would be going to get things like lip gloss, lipstick, or maybe even Thanksgiving, or in this case Halloween candy. They're not able to sell because there's no one coming in to buy the products that they have to sell to help offset the costs. People might run in, grab the refills, but that's about it on the prescriptions, and that's all they do. They don't want to linger in the store. They don't want to go ahead and browse because they're so afraid of being in the store because of anxiety that they're going to get sick. And yeah, it's just a mess. So how would I handle this? If I was a government official, how would I handle this? I would definitely at least let the people know my concerns about social distancing. And I know that there are different people with different personality types. For example, you got mostly homebodies anyway. They're not really being affected as bad, including me, because they're doing their own things, but they need to be able to have their social interactions too. I would not have closed the soup kitchen down during the summertime. That was a colossal mistake. I would have basically put a note on the door and say, please be aware that you are entering at your own risk. You will not be, there's no guarantee that no one has COVID-19 here. However, I would allow the soup kitchen to continue to operating as normal, because I would realize that the people that do need the soup kitchen, it's not just a food thing, it's also a social thing. And if you can't have a social thing in a city or a town like Winsted, like was proven yesterday when researching Winsted, there was no programs right now. And people that were normally interacting in the soup kitchen are not interacting anymore. There's no place for them to interact. Oh, I know. Right, I know that. You never borrowed money from me. And I'm not a sponge either. people sometimes still think I'm just a greedy little bitch that basically steals money from you guys. I actually have had people actually say that verbatim, just that. Oh, Michelle is just a greedy little bitch. She just wants your money so she can basically buy whatever. Excuse me. It's if you want to make a donation to my channel, it's not like you got to pay a monthly subscription to watch my content. The Patreon page, I accept as low as $1 a month if you choose to go Patreon. There's other things on Patreon that you can watch that are exclusives. And there are things on Patreon that some people may enjoy. But $1, for example, a month is not exactly like this clean my Mac. That's starting to tell me I have to pay a yearly subscription of something like $75 just to use a program to clean out all the junk and dross from installing drivers and updates. That's of course, it's a commercial program, but Jesus Christ. There are people who think that I'm just, like I said, that I don't care about the people, I just care about your dollars and cents. I'm sorry, that's not true. That's not true. I do care about you. That's why I come on here to share with you guys, because I do care about you. Yeah. They call me Craigchella and Mustella and all they want, but they don't say I steal money from anyone. Did they call you Pachella? Or Marichella? Or Weedchella? Why is it always the two hardcore ones? It's kind of a joke, but it's also kind of an interesting observation. How many people realized how much damage these actions have caused a lot of channels? They tend to not realize that. I wonder, some of them, if they've been paid by big media specifically to prevent channels from growing by stirring up a pot of false fake news to try to make everybody look bad and start controversy. Michelle, for a lot of us care about you also. You've been there for me many times and talked to me through a lot. We haven't talked lately. I was thinking maybe if there was a day when you were free after all this, when you have time, which I know right now is not right now, that maybe we could have, maybe me and you and maybe Carrie could have talked and just did a private threesome chat. Because you guys, are, oh yeah, I could include Reckington too, of course. And maybe even just Miss Jamie, because you guys are the core of the channel interaction. I'm not saying nobody else is important, because you're all important. But I mean, I don't like to have a huge group of people, talking at once, because it gets really confusing. But if I could talk like 2 or 3 people at a time in a private talk, that's fine. I would love to do that. I'm free today after 4 p.m. if you want to call me. I could try. I'm not doing anything today either. I just basically played a little bit of World of Warcraft last night, just to set up a new character. After I deleted my original Gnome Warrior as a test, I decided to create a Dwarf Warrior. Now, here the score is a lot more fair. A dwarf, she gets this big, huge honking battle axe, which is kind of hilarious. And she's about 7 foot tall. And very, very, very well Dolly Parton sized 44 Ds, double Ds. I mean, well, like, I never seen in real life a woman with a build quite like this dwarf. And I sat there I'm like, wow, what a chest on you. She's got this huge chest. I'm like, clearly for some people looking at the sex appeal of the dwarves, and yet they say there's not very many female dwarves in the World of Warcraft. I don't see why not. I mean, they certainly are built well. You know, I won't bore you with all the details. Just to say, as you can see a little bit of my character this afternoon. She was definitely a warrior. It has the same voice as my dwarven hunter, which sounds like Scottish Stacy, which is kind of hilarious to listen to her talk. Not enough rage. Not enough rage. I can't do that now. I have no mana. Yeah, that's a cute one. So you have my hangouts, and so yeah, I can go hangouts with you on my cell. That's no problem. But I don't know when Carrie will be free because Carrie hasn't been feeling too well, and so maybe me and you can talk this time on Hangouts, and then after 4, I'll call you after 4 on Hangouts on my cell phone. Or I can do it on the computer too. It's no big difference. I'm just gonna make sure to manually reset the sound levels back to 50%, so that when I go live, I don't basically blow everybody's ears in. Right now, I see that the morning chat is kind of stagnating a little bit. Oh well, can't do much about that. So like I said, I digress. Back to what I was originally talking about. So clearly, if I was doing creating policy for the state or the city or the town of COVID-19, and I would not be going to the soup kitchen going, I'm sorry, you're going to be closed because of the COVID-19 and you cannot regulate the number of people in your building. I would have said, the hell with it. Just keep the door light open. It's okay. Let's put note on door saying that you can only come in if you feel comfortable eating here. That would make sense, right? Some people can come in and then let the staff know that they will be given liability protections because they're a 501c3 and it is almost impossible to regulate the number of people that come in. It's what I would have done. Because look, there are people that are homebodies. Those homebodies are not going to be affected as bad by COVID-19 lockdowns. They're going to pretty much be going, it's business as usual for me. You know, just stay at home, watch Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, YouTube, and quietly, watch some, whatever Pornhub or in fornicate, whatever you want to do, right? You're not going to change your life. You're already doing your everyday at home routine. It only affects those people that are social butterflies. They're going out there going, I have no way to spread my wings. I have no place to go. I have no activities. I have no options. I'm doomed, baby. I'm doomed. My social life is in the shitter. I can't do nothing. Well, it's my future. My future is over. Some people get really dramatic. And that's the ones that are going to be most affected by that. And also, they're the ones that are most likely to be affected by COVID-19 in some way because they're not ready. But the same people are less likely to get COVID-19 than the homebodies because they have built up antibodies from being around people every day. They've been around people with the cold, the flu, meningitis, the claps, STDs. syphilis, gonorrhea, they're not likely to get sick because they've already built up immunity. So who does the lockdowns really help? I mean, that's the question. What do the lockdowns really help? Because the first group, the homebodies, are not going to be changing their daily routine. All of a sudden go to return into instant socialites that have to be involved with everything. And the socialites have already developed an immunity to routine illnesses and ailments. And they're not the ones that are likely to go ahead and get sick as easily because they've already built up enough immunity from mingling and interacting with other people. So I'm wondering if maybe the situation instead is that the state is figuring, oh, we have to treat for the worst case. The worst case is what? The homebodies? No, because the homebodies are not going to be changing their routine. They're already staying at home anyway. The socialites, those are the ones that likely, if they're a socialite and they have mental illness issues, they don't have social anxiety, obviously, because they're out there socializing. But now you're telling them that just walking out the door is going to be a death sentence. You actually are going to destroy their minds, their sense of well-being. The in-betweens, they're, the ambiverts, they're the ones that are like, well, I don't have to go out as much, but I still like to go out. Oh, yeah, I'm like one of them. I'm not a strict homebody. I am an ambivert. I like to go out once in a while. But, what they're really doing is they're going to destroy the retail businesses. The ones that are now customers, like I said earlier, are going to be free to come in to browse in the store and to buy products in the spur of the moment. And then the businesses have to raise the cost to make up for the loss of sales, if they can even make up. It's totally messed up the distribution of products in stores already. I mean, I just finally, at the beginning of November, was able to get honest-to-God real 1,000-ply Scott toilet paper. Finally, after 6 months, I finally got real honest-to-God Scott 1-ply toilet paper. My butt's going to be happy. But I paid more for that paper because because the stores had to increase prices to make up for the loss of sales. And that's the reason why now everybody's saying is this, because costs are going up. You've already lost your job. Your employees already basically laid you off. Now you got to depend on a social or unemployment check that may not pay enough. Unemployment is not meant to support you for months. And then you can't pay your bills. You can't pay your rent. He's pounding on the door and going, hey, I need my rent. You're going, well, I can't give you the rent, Mr. Landlord, because I don't have enough. And then he's going to start evictions. And that's going to cost him money to have his lawyers or solicitors doing their job and having their barristers going into that housing court to throw your skanking ass out on the street. So that means he's losing money to throw you out. But he's losing money to let you stay either because he can't pay his taxes and his mortgage. So then all of a sudden he gets foreclosed upon, and then all of a sudden you're out of a place anyway, and so is he. He's out of a revenue-bringing source of income. And if none of that happens statewide, then all of a sudden the real estate market crashes like a big, large bomb, and that's exactly what's going to happen in January, February. Even the economic think tank has said that this is an explosion. This is going to be an explosion in the worst case, when the entire real estate market goes nuclear and craters itself. Same thing with the stock market. Stock market is artificially being inflated right now. And even good news is someone taking a good shit and taking a vaccine. Well, what if Pfizer and Moderna can't even seem to make enough vaccine by the first and second quarter of 2021? Or it turns out that it's extremely dangerous and toxic and people are dying left and right from the vaccine. Then all of a sudden the stock market, which is like a big giant thermometer, goes, right down to the floor. Because it's based on futures commodities. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not a good thing. It's creating it's in this case, it's a positive feedback loop, but it actually has negative repercussions. So one thing loops up on another thing, which feeds back and increases the thing that was not a good thing to begin with. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And then the economy is going to drop. And then it's going to be worse than the oil embargo was in 1973. You're going to see entire businesses, and they already are going under. So I definitely think that Donald Trump knew that, but the problem was, is Fauci told him, well, you got to do this because of this or XYZ. In the beginning, it was bad. It's still bad. But, yeah, I don't think that they're approaching this the right way I would. You got to think of all the more important aspects of the economy. We, the consumer, is ones to keep your state and city governments running by paying our taxes on our purchases, our GST, our VATs, our sales taxes. We're the ones who keep your town and city and county and state coffers filled. You're kicking the chair from underneath our legs. We're going to fall and we're going to go boom. And when we fall and go boom, the dominoes will start falling after us. And that's exactly what they have done. The only way you're going to seriously stop those dominoes from continuing to fall is similar to what they have to do in a forest fire to create a fire break. A whole realm of in between the fire that's burning and the part of the woods that are not burning yet to prevent the fire from jumping the gap and starting to make the fire bigger. But they never even begun to do the clearing work to make a fire break. So it's just going to spread, and it's going to be very destructive to the economy. I wanted to know what you think. Am I right? Am I wrong? I know it's kind of heavy morning talk, isn't it? This is the kind of thing you probably remember reading about these kind of teachers in your civics class, social studies history teacher talking about all the stuff about the Great Depression and everything. Oh man, I have a 10 o'clock in the morning class with Dr. Michelle, and she's gonna basically wear me down. You know, this professor is tough. Welcome to the school of Aquarius, honey. You're going to be learning a lot about it. Just be glad I don't have you do. I do not have you do a class quiz. And you know what? If I did, I don't think a lot of you could even pass it. For example, here's a question I would ask you right now. Let's see. This is a real quick one. When did the Depression that started in 1929 actually end? The answer might actually surprise you. When did the great 1929 crash end? You really want to know? It didn't end until World War II. Because that also, it was kind of bolstered once the situation with the prohibition ended as well. That also helped a lot. But it was World War II when we began to rebuild ourselves and having companies back restored, the American economy started to get back on its feet, is when we as an industrialized nation started to see the begin of a better gross domestic product in the local economy. People making tanks and military equipment. The military complex was what rekindled the economy. When we entered in 1940, I believe it was 1941 at Pearl Harbor after the attack, and that FDR got us into World War II. It was actually what received our economy. So, and this happened repeatedly throughout history. Do we have to have another world war to finally get the economy to be a shot in the arm to recover? Or have we improved ourselves being able to find a non-military way to restore our economic stability? I don't know, but I don't think that what's going on now is all good. We just barely recovered from 2007. And Trump's economy was making a major inroads, positive inroads. And people were seeing positive results. And then here comes COVID-19. All of a sudden, the economy totally takes its shit. Dumps itself. Puts a stiletto to its own chest. And basically falls and bleeds to death and dies. That is what COVID-19 has done. It is the mortal wound that is killing the American and the world economy. I know. It's depressing. I'm going to get some iced tea here, because I do got some made. I don't know if the hot water is ready yet for the hot tea. Let's see if it is. Yep, hot water's ready. I'll just make some hot tea. I had to get more milk yesterday because it was, running low. Milk. I'll have some free-based tea too. All my tea bag steeps. You're just not going to see a lot of people talking about that to you. But if you watch what's going on right now, this government's playing cat and mouse with you. You're the mouse. They're the cat. So, so the question is, what are we going to do? I don't know. But I got some good news too. My ears are on their way. They just shipped them from the Ukraine. Now, I don't know how fast the postal is going to take to get here from Ukraine because customs and paperwork and then duties and excise taxes or whatever, but they're on their way. Right. So my channel is doing okay. It is stable. I got 744 subs. I was almost up to 750. It went down a bit, but then again, it came back up again. It's got a little bit of churn. You already know that. And this morning, the show was very busy. We had a lot of people come in at the beginning of the show, which is great because I really seriously want you to feel comfortable being here and talking about things and what's going on in the world around you. But I'll tell you, as far as Thanksgiving goes, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do for Thanksgiving yet. Okay? But I'll tell you one thing I do want to do. I want to go get my hair back to blonde again. But with the increases in taxes, not taxes, increase of rent and the phone bill. Let's just say my rent, just to keep the math simple. I'm still putting money in the bank, in my savings account. And now because I did my hair brown, we gotta get that stuff it's called hair oops. That's OPS. Oops, like oops, I made a mistake or something to lift out the recolor. My actual hair probably is. You can probably see it. You can see what's going out. This is probably grown maybe about an inch. My real hair color is grown in about an inch. And so what's going to happen is they're going to have to remove all the color kit dye from Color Silk. And then we did that back in thinking May or June. I think it was May or June. So they're going to have to strip all that out. And my hair is going to hate me for that. And then they're going to re-dye, or they have to re-bleach it back to blonde. And my hair is going to be like just absolutely miserable. I don't even know how they're going to be able to do that without destroying my hair. I really don't know how. But with the case of the COVID-19 and all the lockdowns for months and months and months and months, and salons being closed for months and months and months, there was no other choice. It was either A, make your hair dark so when your roots grow in, you're still going to be able to do everyday things, because my hair got badly over-bleached, over-processed when I was at Patty's house because she was in a hurry and kind of got a little careless. And it's so nip and tuck delicate to do. You can't just pour bleach on and just let it, and then be impatient and try to rush the process. I am very lucky my hair is actually still growing fine. There's no longer breaking. There's no longer any breakage. But I don't know. I really do miss being a blonde. I really do. But I've seen men and women having to do something to similar things where I could try doing it myself, but then again, I might break my own hair, and how am I going to maintain the growth doing it myself with a box kit? Because hair kit, almost any kit is going to have bleach with it as part of the developer. So there's different strengths of it, like 20 val, 10 val. 10 val, 20 val is better than 30 val. So 10 val is better because it's weaker. But I don't know if that's something that I'm ready to go back to and try doing it myself. I might end up making it worse. So I'm just trying to be cautious and not redoing my hair, retinting it, recoloring it. Once I got the ends done, I pretty much just let the hair grow out, and you probably can't even tell. All you can see at nighttime, you can see in the show, you can see the gray here. Let's see, this is daily. You can see here. You probably can't see it, but the hair has actually grown in. Yeah, you can see it. You can see the salt and cinnamon hair, and the gray streaks. Yeah, it's there. So I really enjoy. Okay, and then we had people that were, making fun about the fact that I am the North American Snow Queen. Guys, let me tell you right now, I've been a North American Snow Queen involved with weather manipulation long ago, long, way back to third grade. This is not something that was a new thing. I always truly believed I had an importance in the weather, even as a child, but I didn't really had any kind of way to confirm my importance until Mother God gave me the opportunity to become an official part of her team. When I got the invitation, it was in 2010. I was going to start my training officially, and that's what I did. I started my training as the North American Snow King, and I did a great job. I absolutely had a good time doing it. Okay. People, some people thought, well, this is stupid, and basically we should laugh about it. But honestly, I don't want to hurt anybody. I just basically want to do my best I can in life. Okay? And if you truly are passionate about something, you really love doing something, there's nothing wrong with that. If you truly want to help the society you live in, you truly want to be a part of that, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're respectful that others may not agree with you. I love the winter season says, looking for some weather predictions. I heard you know how to get a hold of. I am the North American Snow Queen. Let me tell you, depending on which part of the country you're in, you're going to either have a very heavy snowfall or you may not have very much at all. We know that the Southwest United States, which includes parts of California, are going to see little snow. Once we start getting into a La Nina pattern, right now we are a little bit on an El Nino at this point, but it's more than likely going to be switching to a La Nina and later on in this year. There will be snowfall on the western or on the eastern part of the United States when we enter into the La Nina. We're going to see more significant snowfall. So La Nina, El Nino. I think it's with the way the conveyor works, the weather conveyor works. I believe it's definitely when it's La Nina, El Nino. When the weather is from the southern half, the flow is going to result in the colder air being stayed up in the eastern upper eastern United States. That's when you're going to see the snow, also the Midwest. So, depending on how the polar vortices are, you're going to see potentially snow as far as down as Georgia and maybe even the panhandle of Florida this year. So, I mean, but right now, that brings up another thing. How many people were prepared for that? And that's a seasonal thing. Every year, so many people are ill prepared for winter. Despite if they lived in the area for so many years, because we have had people talking about global warming for years. And you know what? It's coming to an end. Global warming is going to come to an end. And it's not anthropogenic. It is not man-made. It is not done by mankind. It is a cycle. And yet they kept saying for the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is that it's our fault. When you actually realize how much 100 years mankind actually raised the temperature of the Earth is negligible. 1/100th of a degree Celsius. 1/100th of a degree Celsius. What they're saying is, but the global world temperature is increasing by 1 degree Celsius. Excuse me. Wait a minute. Let me explain one thing to you. The Earth itself has its own natural greenhouse gas creators. Wildfires, volcanism. You're not going to carbon tax a volcano, are you? Are you going to tell a volcano that it cannot basically release sulfur emissions into the air? Of course not. And I don't even see how many people in this world have been told, oh, winters are going to be warmer and rainier and the weather's going to be more destructive. We already know about Iota. Hurricane Iota was a level 5. I know that some people, like I said, are constantly pushing that dog food of climate change. I study weather. I still do. I still watch the weather reports. I still watch read the scientific journals. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to see that trend continue very long. But like everybody else, it's just a bunch of fucking, it's just being mixed up with everybody else. False news is giving false narratives. So even people think I'm giving false news when I'm actually basing my news on facts. Does that mean my facts are necessarily correct? They could be wrong too, right? I mean, when we talk about in the sciences, we talk about bias, right? They say that, scientists are supposed to be impartial. The problem is just like in politics, money's involved, and scientists get grants. Science, specialties get grant money to do the research, and certain, grants are being given by patrons that are expecting that the science is going to be agreeing with their agenda. So the scientists will cook the books or, bias their reports. So what happens is that when you read all these conflicting reports, then I, as a researcher, has to go, well, wait a minute. Where's the real truth? And the IPCC and the Paris Accord have been misleading countries for decades. So it's not going to be any better when the bullshit starts because it's already started. Same thing with the World Health Organization. The same thing with the Centers for Disease Control and the COVID-19. It's some of the stuff that you see in the news. Don't you seriously wonder about it? Where are all these deaths Where are all the deaths? Where are all these hospitals that are overfull with ICU beds not being available? What's happening with them? We have a retired hospital up the street, the Winston Medical Center. You would think if COVID-19 was this bad, that they would be opening those rooms that have been closed for about 20 years, 30 years, just get patients in there for COVID-19 treatments. They're not. They're still closed. Those rooms are still closed off. They're not using them. You would think you'd be hearing millions of ambulances going up the street with COVID-19 patients being rushed into all available beds. They're not. Do you see what I'm getting at? They're giving you a false positive, telling you that you got a huge number of cases. They may be in the major cities. There will certainly be more than the smaller town, but don't you think that if it's an issue of getting beds for ICUs and respirators, that they would have actually won an effort to rush out there and get more beds available? Why haven't they used the hospital that's nearly empty where I live? The main thing that's open is the walk-up medical clinic and the blood draw. That's it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the ambulances still bring people up there for quick treatment to the ER, but that's it. That's all they do. I know. I was one of the patients in the with my knee injury. It's not busy in there. Cheryl Hungerford in Torrington was busier, but it wasn't because of COVID-19 cases, which at the time in December wasn't even a thing at the time. You had a whole bunch of patients lined up in the hallways and gurneys. Why were they in the hallways and gurneys? Because they didn't have the money to pay for elite treatment. So like I said, I mean, where's the truth? The truth has got to be somewhere. But it's all biased. It's all biased news. I hate to sound like critical unity, but damn, don't you think about it? Well, it's 11:27. And we will be on the 7 o'clock show tonight. And we'll be having our World of Warcraft this afternoon because it's easier to do the World of Warcraft in the afternoon and not at night. Because if I'm in the afternoon, number one, I'm more awake. Number two, if I play World of Warcraft after midnight or after 10 o'clock, what's going to happen is I'm potentially going to oversleep in the morning, and then I'm not going to be able to focus on my morning show, and that's going to suck. We know that the morning shows have been doing a lot better than the night shows for a certain select group. Not everybody is into the morning shows. Not everybody's into the night shows. So we have two different formats, two different formulae that allows you to enjoy the show that you're more comfortable with. My morning show is a more quiet, relaxed, chillax show where we cover a topic with a list pomp and circumstance. The night shows is when it's like a 5-ring circus, like a Carson and Martin circus, right? You got 5 acts going, you got things juggling, you got people calling, you got people talking on top of each other, and basically it gets kind of foolish, but some like it that way. Some don't. I'm kind of one in the middle. I don't, but I do at the same time. That makes any sense. So As far as my hair goes, I want to get back to that real fast. When this COVID-19 clusterfuck is over, yeah, I know I'm going to get a dash where that word is, but fine, in the captions. I am going to get my hair redone. I am going back to blonde. Thank you very much. I'm going to go back to blonde. If it takes me until March of 2021, fine. I will do it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with brownish red. It's just I need a change. Just like everybody else does. I need a change. I need to get my life back together. Once things begin the process of restoring and the economy starts coming back to normal, and if my hair salon still is existent, like I said, they were seriously downsizing even before COVID-19. There's a good chance that they may have closed the Winston branch and just have everybody go to Torrington now. That means I'm going to have to take a bus to get my hair done, which there is a bus that goes by that salon if the buses continue to run. Because remember, I live in the countryside, and so the buses are seriously may actually, if the Connecticut Department of Transportation says, you know what, that route's not making money, they're canceling bus service from Winston to Torrington, you're screwed. That's a reality. That's the reality. So there may be a shakedown and a shakeout of what's going to happen to the residents who are disabled in the state of Connecticut. We talked about that yesterday. What's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to us? Those of us that cannot drive a car because the state of Connecticut doesn't give legally blind people even the option of using bioptics to get a car. Even if you could afford one, even if you could afford the insurance, which I can't, you can't afford it. So then you're going to be stuck with, again, depending on mass transit. Or they're going to say, well, move to the cities. I'm a country dweller, honey. I don't want to live in the city. Cheek to jowl, where my neighbor basically, I can smell his fart after he ate a bean burrito for dinner. Because he literally got my nose up his ass. That is not what I call living, honey. That's not living. It's the kind of urban living sucks, okay? I don't want to go there. I grew up in the country, suburban life all my life. It's the only thing I know. And if I had to live in that kind of situation, and I did for a short time, I hated it. I hated it so much. Because of the fact is that I felt that I was losing part of the one thing that I deeply love, which is nature, and I really did. Maybe when I was living in Willimantic or when I was living in Torrington, the same problem. I felt I lost a piece of my part of me. My energy is in the country. So for that reason, come on, Rich, you sit down. For that reason, I came back to Winston. But out here in the countryside, you have to think differently than the city people do. So, what else can you do? Don't expect them to want to run out buses out to the middle of the sticks. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. You can bet that the Connecticut Department of Transportation is seriously going to be reevaluating after this COVID-19 and determine who gets funding and who doesn't. When the state of Connecticut right now is struggling with its budget, is going to have to figure out how we're going to make up for the losses because of COVID-19, like every other state's going to do. That is also going to be a suicide mission for every single other business that depends on mass transit. So again, you got the positive feedback loop, which is not a good thing in this case. So it's going to cause business A is going to destroy business B, which is going to destroy business C. It's going to destroy the economy D, and it's going to basically just continue to decimate everybody. Thanks a lot, China. But China knew about this, didn't they? They were planning this for a while. We already know that. So are we going to have to do what it did to get the economy going again, have another world war, just to restore? After 1929 through 1939, the American economy just started to recover after the 1929 crash. By 1939, businesses are just starting to reopen the doors. It was when the beginning of World War II, when the American economies really were ready to go back to work, and the American economy started to recover itself. It took World War II to get America back on its feet again. By rebuilding the military-industrial complex, I got a feeling it's going to be the same old thing again. Because it took, that's just the way it worked. Germany was in the same thing in Germany. Kaiser Wilhelm was actually an old dawdling old idiot, and he didn't know how to handle it after the Treaty of Versailles. And then when they had created the Weimar Republic, to deal with the high inflation in Germany, basically went crazy printing Deutschmarks, tons of them. Thinking, God, everybody more Deutschmarks, and then basically everybody would basically be able to buy more things and begin to rebuild the economic power base in Germany. The problem was they created hyperinflation, which destroyed the economy. Where the expression, it takes a wheelbarrow of Deutschmarks to basically buy a loaf of bread, because each of the Deutschmarks were useless. They were like the equivalent of a half a penny in today's dollars. I mean, you're talking a wheelbarrow of Deutschmarks just to buy a loaf of bread? How much is a loaf of bread right now? Let's just put the Deutschmarks into modern day understandings. $2? All right, let's just say $2. Okay, because some bread you can get cheaper, so you can get more expensive. Let's just say $2 just for a number. A loaf of bread at the store, name brand, Wonder Bread. Okay, $2. So you're telling me I'm going to need a wheelbarrow of American dollars. Let's put this in dollar comparison here. I'm going to need, for a loaf of bread that originally may have costed me 20 cents, I'm going to need $2 now to buy the same loaf of bread that may have costed me about 20 cents in, say, 1975. That's ridiculous. And you know what? That's what's happening. Just that. But in the Weimar Republic, it happened in less than 5 years. So in the 1929 crash, Germany was already being infected by hyperinflation. And then when its German investors, which were invested in some American companies and American industries, went crash because of over speculating on the stock market, because the SEC didn't exist at that time. It destroyed Germany. The German economy took a nosedive. Now, why did 1925 Weimar Republic exist? In part because of the Treaty of Versailles. Believe it or not. All right. It goes back as reparations from World War I in Germany. The Weimar Republic was trying to solve a problem that was created in the Treaty of Versailles after World War I. And then they had the Treaty of Versailles. Reparations had to be paid by Germany, and that ripped the stuffing out of Germany. Well, what happened in the United States? Let's talk about the comparison. Let's flash forward to the 21st century. 2007. 2007, Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. prior existence existed, started out with a savings and loan debacle. Then we hear the term too big to fail. Wrong. It should have been said too big to be allowed to fail as banks got bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, 2007, the banks crash happened. And then we ended up going through for a period of from 2007 up to about 2015 as the American economy was just trying to get back on its feet. And then when Donald Trump came in, it was because people needed to change because the economy wasn't recovering. And he did his promise. He did make America great again. Then, like a perfectly timed actor, in comes COVID-19, which immediately kicks the chair out of the Trump recovery and basically resulted in the entire crash that is going to be reverberating through the market for years to come. I just said that. But the thing is, not everybody is going to be dying off. But the problem is the dumbing down of American students in schools and propaganda, which is also part of the problem. So where do you start to fix the problem? Well, you can't fix stupid. A lot of the people have been receiving propaganda that, oh, it's okay. We can blame Trump for misogynism. We can blame Trump for racism. We can blame, the fat cats for outsourcing to China. But the truth is, that's a propaganda ploy too, and that's being mainly pushed by the leftists. Okay, but here's the thing that's hilariously funny. How come when Biden is considered by the Associated Press to be the victor in the election, why are the protesters still protesting in the streets, even though the candidate that they wanted of the Democratic Party is considered a winner? Because the truth is, the way they see it, he's not even a factor in their decisions to protest. Now they're protesting because they have nothing else to do. Nothing else to do. Just basically sit out there and scream at each other, and throw rocks at each other, and Molotov cocktails at each other. And now it is depressing. It is depressing. Where those of us that are knowledgeable and understand historic, cycles are going, well, gee, we've already seen this coming. So should we have been sending our kids to private schools the whole time, or should we have been sending them to public indoctrination centers for all these years? And that's what they are. The public school system is indoctrinating people into an agenda that doesn't make any sense. It's actually pro-business more than anything. You need something? Oh, go ahead, charge your credit card. It's okay. Could be back in a couple months' time, right? Don't worry about your credit score's garbage. We'll go ahead and give you a credit card anyway. We'll just increase your interest rates. The people fall for it. That's just the reality of how crazy the system is. But anyway, guys, tomorrow we'll try to have a more positive spin on things. I hope that we can find some positive news to talk about. Because right now Thanksgiving is coming up next week. And honestly, I want you to be thankful because there are things we can be thankful for. Number one, in individual lives, everybody of us have had challenges that could have been worse, whatever yours may be. Mine was back to December 5th, 2020, 2019, I fell and broke my left kneecap in half. I could have been a lot worse because I could have broken a hip. I could have broken my leg. I could have broken my back. I could have broken my collarbone. I didn't. Just a measly kneecap. And I'm still walking on it. You know, or if I had chosen to continue to work on what I was doing with an individual who clearly was more interested in my money than me, I would have lost my home and I would have been probably stuck on the rope bridge. That could have happened too. I think Mother God and Father God and all my guardian angels and spirit guides that have been working with me and love me to keep us safe. That's what I'm thankful for Thanksgiving. And the fact is that I'm still here and I'm still talking to you and I'm still sharing my concepts, my ideas. And I'm very thankful for my people, my Patreon page who have actually come through and been there and supporting me emotionally and financially. I thank you for that. As I said, I don't know what you yourself are going through in your own lives because there's so many of us. But this Thanksgiving, give thanks for the things that you've been given. So maybe it should be called, instead of Thanksgiving, be thankful for what was given. Instead, maybe we should call it thanks for giving. Thanks for keeping me safe and keeping me strong in these times of change. That's what you should be thankful for. All right, guys. I'm going to see you guys in a while. I'm going to play a little bit of World of Warcraft this afternoon. Say about 1 o'clock because I want to check out the latest news wires. But I will see you tonight at 7 o'clock on this channel. And I just want to say, have a good morning. I do hope that you'll give some thought to what I've covered. And we will see each other this afternoon at 7 o'clock. And then on the other channel, World of Warcraft channel, I will try to get some World of Warcraft in about 1 o'clock Eastern time. All right? Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.